Welcome to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Browning Firearms, the best there is, Realtree Outdoors, Swarovski Optic, Browning Ammo, and Banded Waders. Here's your hosts, Caleb Wallace, Cole Barthel, and Kyle Barefield.
And it's not a welcome back, it's welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Simmons All Things Hunting Podcast.
Well, I guess it is a welcome back because this isn't the first episode. How about hello, Bastrop, Louisiana? How are you on a Saturday evening? Just like you did before.
Well, hello, Bastrop. How are you on a Saturday evening? We're here tonight with the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. Here got Kyle, Cole, and Rev.
Minus
And
Cole.
Caleb, not Cole.
Yeah, that's all right. You
What
did
did
good.
I say?
You said
Cole.
Yeah, that's okay. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at
He
you.
can
I'm
call
glad.
Caleb worse.
Yeah.
Brittany calls him worse every day.
I've heard worse for sure. We're gonna dive into some new equipment. I say new equipment. You know, we talked earlier, like Rev said, there's really not any new bows until late October, early November, or any new archery equipment comes out then. But there is new technology that's new to me. Rev's been trying to get me ready for an elk hunt, and I've not shot a bow in 10 years, so he's had quite the challenge, hill to climb. And he's got this sight tape thing. There's 2 pins and there's a sight tape, and he's marking it with a pin. I'm like, man, what happened to old 5-pin or a whisker biscuit or a pendulum sight or all the things that I'm.
You know, I think I've probably had 3 people come in this week that have said, "Hey, do y'all still sell the pendulum sight?"
Pendulums? Hey.
And I'm like, man, no, we don't.
But
But
I wish we did.
I wish we did. And of course, there's an older gentleman. Every year he comes in, super nice guy. He lives up Carthage, Mississippi, and every year he brings his bow down, wants me to check it out. And he actually has a pendulum sight on there that we put on it's on a newer, like a Matthews V3 or V3. It's a V3, 27 V3. Anyway, and he's like, man, I love that sight. But me and him were talking today, and I guess back whenever I first started hunting, whenever I was in high school, that was the thing. It was a killer pendulum sight.
There's a bow at my dad's house that's got a pendulum on it. I don't know what brand it is, but
I remember you had to sight them in elevated though, right?
Yep,
that was the whole deal, and you couldn't be over so many feet, and you
Yep.
couldn't be below so many feet.
it was. I think you sighted them in on the ground, and then you went to 20 foot and adjusted something, and then after that it was supposed to.
Yeah, it was supposed to work.
Must
I tell
do
you,
it.
the
Well,
first.
I don't really like heights, so that 20-foot deal gets me out of the pendulum game.
Well, I do remember the first deer I ever killed with my bow was with a pendulum sight.
Yep.
I don't know why. I don't know why technology moved away from them. I don't know. I guess because you were limited how far you could shoot. Because basically there was
Right.
Now with the newer
Swing.
sights, that's right. Depending on how far. Once you got out of that range there, then it was over.
So that sight tape, that's kind of like a dial, like a turret
Sure.
on a
That's a
scope.
turret.
And
Exactly,
so
it is.
you're going to dial to your
equates.
yardage and.
That's right.
and
It
shoot.
equates. The hardest thing about I hear people call them sliders or adjustable sights or movables, or I don't know the proper term, or I don't even know how sight manufacturers market them now. But everybody seems to want that type of. We probably sell, I would say, 3 or 4 times as many of the adjustable sights as we do fixed pin sights. And of course, for younger people or lower poundage bows, the adjustables or the movers don't really work too well. So a 3-pin or a 4-pin. But Trophy Ridge makes they call it React 4 and a React 5. And basically you sight in your 20-yard pin, and you sight in your 30-yard pin, and it automatically calibrates your 40 and your 50, so it makes the sighting process a little bit easier. But that's the hardest, and it's not really that hard. It's kind of, I guess, intimidating for a lot of people, is that process of sighting in an adjustable. And most of them want you to sight in at 20, and then you have to back up and sight in to 60 to be able to get, basically you're calibrating the speed of your bow. Mm-hmm. And then they have tapes that will fit however fast your bow's shooting.
Technology is advanced a long way over the
not just that, but if you think about so Garmin and Burris, and I know there are other but range finding sites.
I asked you about one the other day.
Yeah,
what do you think about this Garmin? Does it for you?
It takes the guesswork out of it, because for a lot of guys, that's the hardest part for me. Guessing yardage. That's not my strong suit. I get in the tree and I'm probably gonna shoot a couple, different objects, and I'm gonna say, okay, I know this trail here is 20 yards or 23 yards, and I know this tree's 35, and this tree here is 40 something, and so I kind of got an idea if he walks out or she walks out, I know what to dial it. I tell people, depending on, because you can get a 5-pin slider, 5-pin movable, and I'm like, whoa, that's way too many options right there. You think about it.
Right. I shoot a 3-pin plus a movable, and the problem that I run into is I always end up with the movable set at 50. So I got 20, 30, 40, 50. But then that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When it's go time, and the deer's right there, I never have time to go, all right, hold on, let me pull my bow down, let me move my sight to where it needs to be. And that's why I can't shoot a single pin adjustable, because I can't do it.
Well, but this is it. And so I think, so I've shot in the last 4 years, I've shot a single, I've shot a double, and I've shot a 3-pin movable, a triple stack, or whatever you want to call it. And I ran each of them different. So like on the 3-pin mover, I would do like what you're doing, but I would set it where my top pin was 20, and then based on the speed of the bow, your second pin would be 30 something, and then 40 something. And you knew, if he came out and he was within 45 yards, you didn't have to do anything.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, well, you can do that with a single pin mover. And they're like, well, how does that work? And I'm like, well, what I would do is I would adjust it. I would sight it in and put your tape on, and then I would range 30 yards, and I would shoot at 20 with my, I would adjust it to 30-yard mark, your single pin, 30 yards on your tape, and I would shoot it at 20, and I would see how high you are. Mm-hmm. And you may not be high at all, depending on how fast you're shooting.
Right.
You may be dead on.
Right.
All right, but then I would back up to 40 and leave it at 30, back up to 40 and see how low you are.
Right.
All right, and then I would play with it until I got a happy medium. Let's say you are an inch high at 20 and you're 2 inches low at 40. Well, I would play with that until I figured out what yardage that was, if that's 31 or 32 on your dial, to where I was about the same high at 20 or same low at 40. And then I would dial that song on to 32 or 33 and leave it. So I know if he's 45 yards and in, I got one pin to put on him. Kill pin.
That's right. So you're just holding high or low on the deer based on how far he is.
Well,
that makes sense, yeah.
You take all that guesswork out of it, because like you said, really whenever it's go time. Now, if you're hunting over a food plot, or if you're, I know young people, as a father, I always tried to set my kids up, and I would bait, and I'd say, okay, we know this is 22 yards right here.
Right.
And that's what we practice at. But you don't always know, public land hunting, there's never any guarantees. You're hunting a spot or a trail or a lick or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. There's never any guarantees that that's where he's going to be. So,
talking about the dial too, there's crossbow scopes that have dials on them, and there's one on my Raven. And last year, I shot a deer that me, Cole, and Kyle looked for in the snow for a long time because we found a little blood. And Kyle's dog, General, like, he sniffed around, like, he looked, and he came back, and he basically told Kyle, hey, Caleb didn't make a fatal shot on that deer. And Kyle's like, I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
Kyle's like, I don't know what's wrong with him tonight. And what happened was I had there's a feeder there at 35 yards. So I had my dial set at 35, and every other deer that came out that evening walked right to the back side of the feeder. And then they would come around, mill around, whatever. And I'd range that right there where they were coming, where every one of them was coming, like broadside shot was 37. I'm like, all right, 35, 37, I'm on. So I see this deer coming down the fence line. Jax is with me. He's filming with his phone. And I said, that's our deer right there, Jax. I said, just stay on him when he comes out, and, maybe we'll get a shot at him. Well, he comes out in front of the feeder, and it's kind of on a hill, so I guess it's kind of deceiving. Well, I didn't range him, and I thought, well, maybe he's 32, maybe he's 33, whatever. Well, I shot. Didn't feel great about the shot, but we looked back at Jackson's phone footage and we thought, well, maybe hit him a little high and a little back, but I think, maybe a good shot. Let's go look. Well, we found a little blood, not much, and General smelled that blood and said, we may as well go back to the camp. Wasn't a good shot on the deer, and I ranged the stand later from where the deer was standing, and it was 20 yards. And
instead of 30.
And then about a week later, that deer showed up, and he had just a little skint mark on top of his back, right on top of his back.
Shot right over him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
So if you are dialing with a gun, a bow, whatever, it is very important not to guess that range and make sure you know what range you should before you
I'll
shoot.
tell you, and this is another thing, and I Gracie a couple years ago, we had set up her bow, got her a new bow, and she was shooting over in Ruston. She was living in Ruston, going to tech over there. And she was shooting over there, and we'd come home and shoot, and it would be off. And I was like, baby, what is going on here? Well, she was stepping, and that's what we used to do. Every years, I didn't have a rangefinder.
Oh, yeah.
So I would step off, 10 yards, 20 yards, or however far. And so she was at home, she was stepping off 20 yards, and that was 20 steps for her, not truly 20 yards. So then whenever we'd get to the house, and I would range the target, and I'd say, all right, 20 yards. And she said, all right. And she was hitting low every time. I was like, what is going on? She said, Daddy, I swear it's hitting. I was like, so, and this is the other thing. I have found that different rangefinders also give you different values, different ranges. So whatever you're going to hunt with,
that's what you need to shoot with.
That's what you need to set it up with. If you're going to shoot a loophole or whatever, that kind of rangefinder, that's what you need to use whenever you set your, set your bow up, set your sight up.
Yep. I found out. So I'm left-handed, which means when I'm standing up in a lock-on holding my bow's in my right hand. I got my hand on the handle, so my left hand's free to range. Well, I use a pair of Swarovski EL range binoculars to do that. Well, when I hold them binos up with my left hand, the button is on the right side.
They're discriminating against left-handed folks, right?
So, yep, that's right.
Well, it was on the left for years. For years, the Swaro binos were on the left forever, and that was a big complaint they had is, why do you make a left-handed rangefinder bino when, I don't know, 95% of the world, whatever that stat is right-handed? And so they corrected that, and everybody was happy about it except Kyle.
Except the left-handed folks.
So if anybody's got a good used set of EL range with the button on the left, Kyle may be in the market for a pair.
Yeah, just for bow hunting only, because I love it for rifle hunting. And we'll get into rifle stuff later in the podcast and talk about the 7 backcountry and
22 Creedmoor,
25 Creedmoor. We'll get into a little technology on rifle for the gun nerds like me and Caleb. But we're gonna keep going into bow stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean we've still got a couple months before most manufacturers will drop their new bows. There'll be some manufacturers that'll come out a little bit early, and they've been doing that the last couple of years. But most of them are going to be in November, which I don't understand that. I'll never understand that. Why would you release a brand new bow right smack in the middle of hunting season? And but they do it, and I don't know. I guess they're way smarter than I am. But
they must be thinking somebody's going to buy a bow before hunting season, and then they're going to be like, man, I got to have this new one, so I better buy another.
You would be surprised the number of people that do that, and they'll come in, and the problem, though, is they'll release the bow like November 15th, and we'll typically have a 2 or 3 bows, whatever they release that year. We'll have those samples in store on the day that they drop them.
Right.
And you can sell your demos, but then you don't have anything to show
show.
everybody, because your bows typically don't come for another 2, 3, 4 weeks. Just depends on which manufacturer it is. Some of them are pretty good about getting your stuff out. So, but yeah, there are people though. They show up and they shoot it and they like, I want it. I'm going on a hunt next week. I want this new bow, and I'm like, man, I really want to shoot mine a little while before.
For sure. Same with a rifle. I don't want to go on a hunt with a rifle until I've shot at least 40 or 50 rounds through it.
Right.
But we get that all the time, and a lot of time it works out for the guy. He comes in here going on a hunt next week, want a rifle, get it set up, we're going to sight it in and go hunting.
I think bow manufacturers are doing better. Whenever I first started here, it seemed like strings on most bows were they had a kind of a break-in period, and if you could leave the shop and the peep would be perfect, and after 100 200 shots, they were going to have, as those strings kind of broke in and stretched a little bit, there was going to be some twist, and they would have to bring them back. I think manufacturers are doing a lot better now with that, and based on who their string builders are. But I don't see that as much. And we always tell guys, when we try to set it up as best we can in the shop, but we're like, hey, look, once you get this thing, after you shoot it a while, if it's peep's twisted, bring it back and we can correct that. I don't see that near as much as you used to, but that was always my worry is, you got brand new equipment, you got all these different variables, you got to sight this sucker in, and I encourage people, just like on these movable sights, you can do that in a day, but don't try to do it in a couple, like a rush. Don't get off work and run out there before dark and try to do it. It's something that those two yardages, that 20 and that 60 that they use to select that sight tape, they need to be, if you read their instruction manuals, it says as accurate as possible. You need to be hitting 20. You need to be stacking them at 20 whenever you put that setup tape on there.
I'm out.
And then when they're, and then even bigger though, because what'll happen, and I have guys do this all the time, is they'll go home, and I know I want to get in a hurry, and I want to rush, and I want to go ahead and get the tape on, and so I try to move from 20 to 60 as quickly as I can. But usually by the time you get out to 60, you're a little fatigued. And so you're tired, and you're not as accurate, and you're not holding as well, and so you're kind of that getting a broad range down there. And if you go ahead and say, okay, that's a 21, and you tear that 21 off of there and stick it on there and go to shooting, you're gonna find some issues there, and they're gonna be like, man, this thing it ain't hitting where it's supposed to, and it all goes back to taking your time with that setup.
Right. I usually say, and this is because I probably don't take as good a care of my stuff as I should, but
that's an understatement if I've ever heard one.
My bow, rifle, and everything, it's not fully broke in and ready to rock until it's been rained on a few times, and then everything's locked in place. You don't have to worry about screws.
All those screws are seized.
Yeah.
Kyle called me last year. He's like, hey, I'm gonna buy a new truck, so if you're in the truck market, I'm going to take a big hit when I trade mine in. I said, Kyle, are you talking about the same truck that we caught on fire driving through the Milo field in Oklahoma a month ago? He's like, yeah, but I washed all that out from under it. I'm like, Kyle, I appreciate it. I really do, but I'm good.
Jim Taylor Chevy traded it in, and I bet they had, and they kind of just took it, like didn't really even look at it, and
they just said, hey, we'll give you.
I bet a day later when the guy got in there to really look at it, he was mad. But I bought a new truck for him. I did take a big hit on it. They probably made some money on it anyway, but it's a tool. I use my truck like a tool, all my equipment like a tool. I use it. So
but as far as bows, we're going to be waiting. Sights, XL, True Ball XL, just they've got a new sight this year, the XL Driver. We've got a couple of those in stock. In fact, we've already set a couple of those up. I really like that. Is probably the lightest as far as weight sight, movable sight on the market. Pretty easy micro tune adjustment. I mean, all the things. Really,
For a deer hunter, on like you're talking about these sites, what's your opinion on all the different axis movements that you can set a sight? Do you have to get in as detailed as
well, I think
second, third axis and all that stuff? Or
yes, I mean, definitely you need to think about it like this. So if you don't set that second axis, and this is something we do on every site we install in the shop, we're going to set second axis. Third axis, we're going to set it as best we can here in the shop, but it really needs to be shot in. And by that, I mean you've got to shoot it at, uphill and downhill elevations. We can start the process in here, but if you go to, I'll tell you where you'll find out is if you don't set that third axis and you go to like a TAC event or you go to New Mexico out there and you're shooting uphill and downhill on elevation and all those things, it will show up. It's definitely going to show up. And even, so think about your second axis is what we do is we actually plumb this bowstring or the bow, and then we level the sight to the bow.
So you
think about
hang a string and it's got to run perfectly with the string. Hang a string and that string
that
has
would
to
be
run perfectly with
that would be the old way that they did it, but we've got a tool. AE makes a tool and there's others, but anyway, so you plumb the string up and down and then level the sight. So think about it like this: if your sight is canted a little bit one way or another, and so that means your pins aren't running true.
That's right. So you're going
up and down, and so the further away you get your target is, the further it's going to shoot left or right, depending on which way it's canted. For most people, it's not going to be an issue. But if you're shooting, past 40 yards, you're going to begin to see a little bit of that. Most standard sites are just like a fixed pin sight, and all the sites that we grew up shooting, they didn't have that on it. So it was pretty much whenever you attached it to the side of the bow, it would have been. I mean, there was no first or second axis. But some of these sites, I mean, they got way more adjustments than,
But if you take your time and you do it correctly, sighting procedure, you're way more accurate at a longer distance than with the older traditional 5-pin.
Well, and this is the deal. So a lot of people, they want to know, well, everybody's going to this, these sliders. What is the advantage to it? And I said, well, look at it like this. You can, for me, in order to be able to shoot, so if you wanted to shoot 60 yards, you had to have a 5-pin sight. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Unless your bow was just shooting super fast, and then you could take a 3-pin sight, and you may have 30, 45, and 60. But outside of that, I don't like all the pins.
Right. It blocks your field of view.
It blocks your field of view, but, I mean, for me, what I would do is I'd just put all 5 of them in the middle of him, and, but this, with a single pin sight, the other thing is, if I wanted to shoot past, I'm not saying that I'm actually going to shoot an animal at 60, 70, 80, 90 yards. No. But if I can practice at 70 and 80, that makes that 30 and 40 seem like chip shot.
100%.
Earmuffs, Caleb, on that long-range deer shooting.
Do what?
I said earmuffs on that long-range deer
Don't
shooting.
think I won't sling an arrow, son.
Well, we know Caleb will sling one, but and look, I'm not saying that you can't do that or you shouldn't do that.
Right.
I think that's up to each hunter whether or not they take that shot. But you have to think about, is it an ethical shot? If you've practiced it, and the guys that I know that are going out west, that are going on these elk hunts or chasing mule deer or whatever it is, they're practicing every day at 80, 90, and 100 yards. And if the shot presents itself, they're confident in that shot, okay?
Right.
I'm talking about the people who are going to shoot at 30, 40 all the time and then take a 70, 80-yard shot. I wouldn't do that.
With
but
an elk or a mule deer, too, it's not like a whitetail. Whitetail's a little more skittish than an elk and a mule deer, in my opinion.
Well, not only that, but you think about, the vitals on an elk compared to the vitals on a whitetail. So this is a deal. If I can shoot a 6, 7, 8-inch group at 100 yards,
about a 9-inch vital zone. So yes, 6, 7, 8-inch group, you're plenty good enough to kill.
and I got guys. my 60, I'm probably a 3 or 4 inch group at 60 yards that I feel pretty confident in. And if there's been a couple times where I've had a deer at like 54, 55 yards, and I was like, if he presents, if he gives me a shot, a good broadside shot, yeah, I would take that shot. Past that, I'm probably not going to take it. But I do like to shoot 60, 70, and 80, and we'll get back here, and those guys will shoot 100 yards. It's fun, it's challenging, but more and more of the TAC events, the 3D shot experience, there's some more of these target type stuff that they're shooting 120. Some of the guys that come in the shop earlier this week were telling me they went somewhere and they had a 200-yard shot, and basically if you hit, it was like a clay pigeon down there. Mm-hmm. If you busted that thing, it would, you could tell it at 200 yards. But you want a bow, free bow, just like that. If you could do it, wow. They raised up as high as they could, like above it, thinking, closest they got was 30 yards, within 30 yards of it. So they, and they said you couldn't even see. It's not even in your. You couldn't even see the target. You're just guessing, holding above it and shooting.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think though that long range with whitetails, once they get past like 34 yards, they don't. The sound of the bow is not as much of a problem. It's the sound of the arrow going through the air.
Absolutely.
They've got enough reaction. They're good enough.
I will say that when I made my long range crossbow shot that I did not practice for, hell, I had to call Rev that morning and ask him how to cock the crossbow because I hadn't even shot it. He sighted it in for me. I shot, and the deer's standing there eating in the wheat field. And he turned, and like when that arrow was about mid-flight, he turned and looked back at it like, what in the hell is that? And then he kind of ducked down to go run, and he ducked down just enough for that arrow to hit him right at the top of the neck and drop him.
Spine.
Hey,
and
he's on the wall.
He's on the wall.
7 yards, wasn't it?
107 yards.
Well, I have found, and this is just a theory of mine, but this comes from talking to a lot of folks that come in here that kill deer with crossbows. Crossbows are much louder than vertical bows. The vertical bows that we have in the shop now are so quiet. They're really quiet. But a crossbow, like the Ravens and the 10 points and all these crossbows are shooting 450 feet a second. Man, those things are loud. The people I talk to, if you're shooting 400 to 450 feet per second, 50 yards and in, he hears it. He's going, but he can't get away. He cannot react fast enough to get away from it. But then you talk to the people, and I've talked to, several people that have told me, they tried to shoot one at 60 to 90 yards, and they wheeled, like the arrow went right where they were aiming.
Right.
But the deer wasn't there.
Gone. Yeah.
Deer was gone.
Yeah.
But then you talk to the people that have killed deer, and this is, I'm talking about maybe on one hand, I can count these people who've told me that they've shot a deer and they killed a deer over 100 yards with a crossbow, and I think it goes back to they can't hear that swack. And so I think there's kind of a window there where your odds go way down, and then once you get a little bit further, and then that comes back up. But if you've ever, we've done this before, I'm not saying it's safe to do, but get down range, out of the way, and listen to that arrow as it comes by. That's what they're hearing. They're not hearing so much the bow, or people may, I have people there like thumb buttons is a new thing right now. I don't know if y'all, I know neither one, both y'all still
explain thumb button. You're talking about
release? A release.
I shoot thumb.
You're shooting a thumb button. Caleb's still shooting a wrist strap, but it's all the craze now. Everybody wants to shoot a thumb button. The same way of doing a different thing. So instead of a wrist strap, it's actually it's almost like people sometimes they look at it and they say it looks like brass knuckles. But anyway, it's something that you hold in your fingers and you use your thumb as for the trigger to release it. But people worry about how loud that thumb, whenever it, when it releases, the noise that it makes. Oh, that's too loud. That's too loud. I'm like, man, he ain't never gonna hear that. If that's what you're worried about, he's gonna hear them veins on that arrow.
So does the thumb button eliminate or decrease punching?
That's right. It's supposed to.
Well,
theory.
My
well, no,
favorite-
the deal. So you can still punch and slap with a thumb button.
I'm Exhibit A.
You can still do it with a thumb. A thumb, if for the guys that have issues with that, they go to either a hinge or a back tension.
I shoot a back tension with the safety.
Yeah, it's got the click.
So it's got the click. No, it's literally has a, like, I draw back, I get on the deer or get ready, I take the safety off.
Okay.
And now it becomes a back tension, but it won't go off before that safety's off. So, but anyway, I'm
There's
not
another
recommending
way
that, but
you can fix punching as
Yeah.
well. Our Mr. Jesse Moorhead, who is
Yeah.
a renowned archer and a pretty good size fella too. I mean, I'm not just saying he's fat. He's a big, strong guy, super great guy. Our buddy David Langston that works for Scent Thief, he lives down the road from Mr. Jesse. And Mr. Jesse's kind of his mentor or whatever, and always works on his bow. And he told Mr. Jesse, he said, I told Mr. Jesse, I'm punching really bad. I just can't fix it. And Mr. Jesse said, you come on by the house this evening and we'll fix that. And so Langston said, he says, you want to take a shot? He gets his bow, he got his targets up. He's going to take a shot, let me watch you. So Langston takes a shot. He goes, all right, I know what we need to do. Langston, he goes, gets this old Easton aluminum arrow. You know, it's about the size around as a golf club. And he takes and he pops his hand with it a time or two. And Langston said, what are you going to do with that, Mr. Jesse? He said, you punch that bow again, I'm going to smack you across the back with it. He said, oh, Mr. Jesse, you ain't going to do that. He said, don't punch that bow. Langston said as soon as he hit that release, he knew he had punched his bow. He said it felt like lightning hit him across his back. He said he fell to his knees, tears come out of his eyes, had a big old whelp on his back. He said, I've never punched a bow again ever to this day. He said, that fixed me right there.
Oh God.
may be right. I will say I have target panic. I guess that's what you call it, punching it or having to you're floating your pin and you time it, like you punch it when and that's terrible. But the best way that I had a guy in Birmingham, Alabama, he's a pro shooter, was for Hoyt or Matthews. This has been 10, 15 years ago. But he's the one that got me on the back tension or the hinge for shooting targets. All right, and he told me don't hunt with it.
Right.
Shoot with target.
Right.
And then my thumb release was the thumb button was similar in feel and look. He said the first couple of times, due to muscle memory, that you shoot with this release at a deer, you're not going to punch it, but you will fall back into that habit eventually.
Yeah.
And so it helps me that shoot the back tension at
We
targets.
We have several guys that's what they do all during the off season. Like they're shooting targets or spots or whatever it is. They shoot a back tension, and that's to keep that. But they say usually that'll get them through hunting season. You know, they only hunt with that button, but they shoot the back tension, and it's been interesting the experiences I've had with it because there's. I guess just because of the exposure you have on social media now and YouTube and all this, and people wanting to try it, well, they come in the shop, they want to shoot their bow with it, and I'm like, whoa, here, use this trainer right here and get the feel of it because, man, we've got arrows in the ceiling up there. They've shot through everything because usually what happens is they,
in the nose.
yeah, you get about right here, and whenever it goes off, it's whack right on the end of the nose.
Every now and then I'll be sitting at the gun counter. You'll hear something over in archery. It sounds like a car wreck, you know, and everybody at the counter's like, what was that? I was like, Rev done had a customer shoot the wall. Let me go over and make sure everybody's okay.
Man, and I don't care. You can prepare yourself for it, but it doesn't help whenever it goes off. And I mean, carbon goes everywhere.
What somebody that has older bow or something? What would be, Rev, your opinion on if you were going to buy a new bow? What is technology that they're gaining? What advantage are they gaining?
I think the biggest thing now is these bows are so. I call it efficient, and I don't know, that may not be the right word, but I know used to, in order to get the speed that you wanted out of your bow, you had to shoot 70 pounds, and you had to have a really long draw and
Really hard draw cycle.
You had to have a short brace and, all the things. You had to shoot a light arrow. But now, I mean, you can shoot at 62 pounds. You don't have to pull 75 or 80 pounds to be able to shoot 300 feet per second.
Especially somebody like me and Kyle has got a long draw length. That's what Seth was telling me. He asked I wanted to set the poundage on that bow. And I said, I guess to start at 65, we may work up to 70. He said, you don't need to. You got a long draw length, 65 pounds. Well, your draw length in this bow, he said, you're plenty fast enough.
The thing, though, so depending on, and this is what, most guys come in looking for maybe a new arrow setup. And, okay, well, what are we hunting? What are we shooting? Because if you're shooting elk, like trip you're going on, or if you're going on an axis hunt, or depending on if you're shooting whitetail or antelope, I mean, you need to know, well, how much penetration do we need? I mean, we want to go all the way through. So on an elk or a mule deer, if you were going on safari, you're going to want to go heavier. And like on a whitetail, I mean, we're shooting 130-pound deer around here. I mean, and for years we shot 380 grain arrow. Well, it was right after I went to work here about 5 years ago. I remember the first guy that called, and he was like, "Man, I want to build a 550 grain arrow setup." And I was like, "What in the world for?" I said, "What you shooting, man?" And he said, "Man, there's this guy on YouTube, you gotta go watch him." And so there was a guy who kind of went viral, and the trend started going heavier. But the heavier you get, sure, you might get more penetration. It's kind of the difference between shooting a 223 and a 300 Win mag.
Sure.
Okay, that 300 Win mag's going through both front shoulders. That 223 may not make it all the way through. So that's the deal. But now we're trending back the other way, because back then, because you lose, when you do that, the heavier you get, you lose speed and you lose yardage.
Yep. And at some point you'll get so slow, the math doesn't add up.
It doesn't.
The kinetic energy will start to be shorter than
right.
something.
That's exactly right. And the number of people at that point that came in the shop and they were shooting a Matthews solo cam or an older bow, and they're like, "Man, I want to be 520 grains because that's what this guy says I need to be 520 grains." I was like, "Look, you don't want to be 520 grains with that bow, 70 pounds, 28-inch draw length, because And so they're like, "Well, I don't understand." You say, "All right, well, let's mock up and I always kept one. I would keep 2 or 3 arrows, 520 to 550 grains. I was like, "Well, let's just shoot it through in your bow through the chrono. Let's just see how fast it's going to go." And whenever it shot 202 feet per second, they were like, "Ooh, I can't do that." And I'm like, "Well, that's right. So what should I do?" Well, let's try to get as heavy as you can and still be 260 to 300 feet per second based on your draw length and your your weight.
No, that's right. I can turn that over into rifles, and I just did it this week with a load development on a 300 PRC. So we're going on an elk hunt with a 300 PRC, and I'm trying to find the best bullet combination for this rifle that gives me the most kinetic energy. And I'll give you like a real world example is I shot a 208 grain LRX out of a 300 PRC, and it shot like 2860. And then I shot a 245 grain Berger that out of the same gun shot 2500 feet a second. All right, but when you did the math, and the new Garmin chronographs do the math for you, the kinetic energy on that 208 grain LRX was 3750 foot-pounds. The kinetic energy on that 245 grain was 3,300 foot-pounds, because the velocity had slowed down so much. It didn't make up for the weight of the bullet, and so that automatically ruled that heavier bullet out. And so you worked that until you found what is the best bullet speed combination to get the most kinetic energy.
And I think you can do, because some guys, they come in, there's some people, they don't care. They want speed. And I can remember as a young man, nobody talked about kinetic energy. Nobody talked about FOC. Nobody talked about, well, how many grains what's your arrow weigh? I had no idea. You know what everybody talked about? How fast?
Speed.
Yeah. How many feet per second? Man, this thing right here is 243 feet per second. It was smoking, Right. Like, well, now everybody wants to be 300 or better. Well, you can achieve that with an arrow. I mean, that's pretty simple. But what do you want? What do you want to do? Those guys were like, well, if I shoot forward and I hit shoulder, then I might can go all the way through. Man, why do that? Your chances of recovering that deer are slim. Don't do. I mean, wouldn't you rather make a better shot placement? To me, I mean, you can do all these things. You can have the right arrow set up, and you can have the best sight on the market, and you can do your research, do all these testing with broadheads and all this stuff. But if you don't put it in the right spot, none of that stuff really matters, because I'm telling you, you can close your eyes and go through there and pick a bow, a sight, an arrow, and a broadhead, and if you shoot him in the right spot, he's going to die.
Right.
All that stuff. I mean, I think you can go, and I think it's because of social media or YouTube or whatever, you can go down this rabbit hole and you can spend all this time. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, and I've got guys, they weigh every arrow and they weigh every vein, and they really are meticulous, and I think that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. There's some guys that come in here and they don't even look. They don't do none of that. They're shooting. This is another big conversation. Okay, do you know which way your bow throws the arrow based on the string? Your string. So some strings throw. So when it leaves, your arrow leaves it either rotates left or it rotates right.
I
Did you know that?
About that? No, I didn't know that.
No idea.
All right. So 90-something% of the arrows, factory arrows that are made, have a right offset, not a helical, but a right offset. And so whenever it leaves,
so they're made to turn, or they're supposed to turn right.
Made to turn right.
Yeah.
Made to turn right. Okay. The majority of the factory bows we have in the shop, guess which way they throw the string throws the arrow?
Left, I guess.
Left. And so guess what? Whenever you see it, it goes out there and then it stops and then it
comes back.
Corrects itself.
It corrects itself. And so a lot of people say, man, they'll come in, man, this arrow's doing something funky. Like, I seen it go out there, it looks like it's funky. I'm like, well, all right, so then you throw in this added factor. All right, if you're going to shoot let's just say on this elk hunt, you decide I'm going to shoot a big old fixed blade and I want a single bevel. And is it a left or a right bevel?
As far as where it's sharpened? What
side is sharpened? Yeah. All right, think about that. All right, so which way is it going to turn if it's beveled, if it's a single bevel? And if you've got right helical and you got a left bevel,
your counter is working against each other.
All right, so your string's throwing it left, your
arrow's spinning
your
right.
Vanes are turning right, and your bevel's throwing it back left again. What does that do to an arrow?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just trust that you're sending me with the right equipment.
We're gonna send you with the right equipment. But what I'm saying though is it does. There's stuff you need to pay attention to. It does matter, but does it really matter? Because I promise you, there are guys I set up. I had 4 guys last year that came in, bought brand new bows. We set them up and put them in a factory arrow, and sold them a broadhead off the wall over there, and they went and killed elk. Sent me pictures. And right. And I was like, these guys, they didn't do any of that stuff, and they went and killed elk. I'm not downplaying that. I mean, I think they got what they paid for. I think there are some guys though that spend lots and lots of time studying and doing stuff, and it's intriguing to me. But at the end of the day, man, just pick you out something, go out there and shoot and go kill. I mean.
Get familiar with your equipment and what it's doing, and 100%. If you're gonna, before we take a break, what's your favorite broadhead right now?
Fixed or mechanical?
Either.
Mechanical. My favorite broadhead right now is G5 Dead Meat. It's 1.5 inch mechanical broadhead, and I'm shooting 62 pounds, and so. That's kind of I like that weight. I've shot that weight for a couple years now. Really like it. 62 pounds. I'm shooting a lighter arrow this year. I'm shooting a Victory XV. I've never shot anything this light probably in the last, 15 years. But good buddy of mine, Sean comes helps us out a lot. And Sean keeps, man, you got to try these. But shooting a really light arrow, 62 pounds, 28. 8.5-inch draw, 315 feet per second. I mean, smoking. But 1.5-inch cut, just because if I was pulling 70 pounds, I would probably shoot the mega meat. I've had luck out of it and killed some deer with it, like it. Clayton also. Fixed blade right now, my favorite fixed blade. It's kind of a toss up between. I really like the G5 Striker V2 for a fixed blade, or QAD has an Exodus, and they make it in a full or a swept. But either one, I've tried both of them, and they basically no broadhead tuning at all. I mean, shoots just right where the field point does, and they are tough. They're tough. But there's a ton of good broadheads on the market. The Rage has been around for years and makes a good product, and either you love them or you hate them. I mean, everybody has an opinion about them, but Rage has probably killed more deer than any other mechanical. Fixed blades, I mean, Thunderheads and Muzzies, I mean.
Killed them all. Me personally, I've killed a bunch of deer with Rage, and I've never had a problem with one.
It's shot placement. I'm telling you, everybody, if somebody comes in the store and they're like, man, I'll never shoot them again, and it doesn't matter what it is, but if you talk to them long enough, they had a bad experience with that, whatever it is. And if you keep on, eventually they're going to tell you, well, it was a marginal shot. And it really wasn't a good shot. And then in the end, I probably shouldn't have took that shot. So it really wasn't the equipment. It was more the operator.
I've got that experience with Slick Trick. I've killed a bunch of deer with Slick Trick. I've also lost some deer with Slick Trick. I've lost 2 big bucks in particular with Slick Trick. However, terrible shots. One of them was forward in the shoulder and low, and one of them was high in the neck, way up high. And
just went through that brisket.
But here's I guess a good thing about the broadhead. If you want a broadhead that's going to kill, both these deer died. I just didn't find them. And if it had been probably a not as good killing broadhead, they may have lived. But it was shot placement. I mean, I'm not blaming it on the broadhead. I shot terrible.
I know my guys get tired of me talking about it over there, but I mean, because people want to know, what's the best. I'm like, look, you can close your eyes and pick any broadhead on this wall. It's gonna work. People talk about, well, mechanicals, they don't, someone say, well, they deployed before they, actually hit the deer or whatever, or, they had an issue with it. But I'm telling you, I mean, most of the broadheads today, even if they don't deploy, if you hit him, if you double lung that deer, he's dead.
He's dead, right. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Well, all right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to finish up a few things and wrap this thing up.
Every hunter is unique. Every hunt, an uncharted journey. Browning's X-Bolt 2 is here, a testament to 145 years of mastery. Precision, power, perfection for every hunter, every situation. The Browning X-Bolt 2.
Welcome back to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. We've been talking about new archery kind of technology, air selections, and stuff that goes way above me and Kyle's head, and that's why we got Rev here. But Rev, for somebody that maybe they got an itch for a new bow, but they don't want to spend, $20-25, but newest of the new bow pricing, what you got? You got some old bows that need a new home?
Man, we just we're in the middle of tent, and we just went through and marked down. I know we said, the new bows will be dropping, so we're only, a couple months, and, we'll have new bows. So we've got some last year's bows, even got some 2-year-old bows, like some overstock stuff that we just marked down. I've got some great deals on some Hoyt bows, like RX8s, some 7s, some Venom Pros, some Venoms. I may even have like a RX5 that are going to be, if you're looking for a new bow, I've got some PSEs that are basically, boss man told me, hey, look, we got too many of these, they got to go, and so they're at cost. They're priced to move. If you wanted a ready to hunt kit, in my opinion right now, Fred Bear has one of the best ready to hunt kits. We sell a fair amount of them for guys that don't want to spend, $2,000 on a setup. For less than $900, you can come in and you can have a bow that comes with a rest, a sight, a quiver, a stabilizer. All you need is some arrows and a release, and you can be in the woods hunting. And most of those bows are going to be, $600. Elite has one. Bowtech has one very similar. That both have good accessories on them. I mean, there's for somebody that comes in Simmons in the bow shop and can't find what they're looking for, man, something's wrong. If you can't find something in your price range, we've got some ready to hunt packages that are as low as $479. And like I said, that's the bow. And like these bows, I mean, Fred Bear's been around for
everybody, even people that don't hunt, know the name Fred Bear.
Right. But he's got, and look, since they brought Hunting Public on, they've really made some strides as far as what they're putting out and kind of their market, who they're marketing to. And man, just the average Joe hunting guy that wants to go hunt, wants to get in the woods, but maybe can't afford a $2,000 setup. Man, he can walk in and be out, in less than $1,000. Some of them even $700, and you can be, and with no tax coming up in just a few weeks, man. I'm telling you can save big money. Those 3 days, you can come in and you can get set up, the whole deal, get you a case, all you need at Target. For $800-900, and don't pay the tax, so you save $90 right there.
So that's the 5th, 6th, and 7th September, and you'll probably tell all your customers, like I tell my gun guys, if you don't want to fight that crowd that weekend, because there will be a crowd, and look, if you can only come that weekend, we will take care of you. It may take a little while to get to you.
Absolutely.
But if you can come prior to, you can come in here, get you both set up, get everything ready to roll, put a deposit down on it, put it on layaway, and then that weekend, all you got to do is come in, pay the difference, pick it up, and you're ready to roll.
And pick it up, and you're gone. We'll do the setup beforehand. So we've got 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I think
couple weeks. The 5th, 6th, and 7th September.
So it's actually 4 weeks.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The 5th, 6th, and 7th September is
tax-free
weekend.
That's right. If you want to save that tax, then you come in. We'll go ahead and set everything up. We'll get it ready to go out the door, and you pay a little 10% down. I think is what they require. That's the minimum. Yep. If you want to pay everything but the tax,
and all you got to do is come
all
get
you got to do is walk in that day and say, "Hey, I need to pick my bow up." They'll have it ready for you. You won't have to come because it's going to be hectic back there. And we're going to sell a bunch of bows. We're going to sell some crossbows, but you can do that and save that money.
And especially if somebody don't know what they want to shoot 4 or 5 bows,
yeah,
please try to come ahead of time where you got time to.
That's not the day to come in.
You got time to really shop and look at some bows and shoot.
I tell you, it's wild and it's fast and it's furious over there, but it's so good because so many people get to come through. You get to see a lot of people and get to help a bunch of folks. But most and I say this, most archers that have been shooting for a while, they know they won't come in that day. Those guys,
yep.
They're not going. But the guys that really want a deal that day and want to save some money. But I encourage you, if you want to come in early, we can set you up. We can do the whole deal and have you ready, and you come back on no tax, and we'll get you out the door.
And that's the same for anything.
Anything.
If you're in a duck club and y'all are going to buy a bunch of shotgun ammo, call us ahead of time and let us get all your stuff.
We can pull it.
Let's get it pulled, get your name on it. It's ready to roll. So you can pick it up
Blinds,
that weekend. You can pick it up
decoys,
after that weekend.
Guns. I mean, all of it. But yeah, the earlier you can get that set aside, we can put your name on it. Some stuff we probably gonna sell out of.
I got a bunch of stuff tagged now for tax free. All during this tent sale, people have came in and looked at, because you look at a nice rifle and scope setup. Sometimes it's,
what's the average?
Sometimes, man, you gonna put me on the spot here. Average. I mean,
What's
you know,
the average
lots of
guy
times if you're
spend
buying
on
I'm gonna say at least 1,500. If you're buying a decent
On the whole
gun and a pretty
package.
good scope, and you know you get your rings and your
So now,
mounts
I mean,
and some
that's
ammo and a sling, that's 150 bucks, over 150
That's
bucks
right.
in
So
sales
that's
tax.
about. I mean, that's about the average. I don't know. Bow prices have gone. They keep, trending up.
Well, I'll just put it. I just got a 22 Creedmoor Fierce. Put a Vortex Viper HD on it, rings, mounts, everything. I was right at 2,800, something like the ammo is 2,800. And if I had any patience in me at all, I could have saved almost $300, but I don't. So it's in my truck right now.
Well, but yeah, there's a ton of bows on sale in the shop. Plus, we still have all the flagship bows from this year. Matthews Lift X. We got the Hoyt RX9, Alpha AX2, Bowtech Virtue. Trying to think of Elite and all. I mean, we've got all the flagship bows in the shop. If you want to shoot one, we've got the new HLRs, Victory HLR arrows. That's something we took us forever to get them. They finally shipped. We've got, and this is what we were talking about a while ago about the arrows. We're going heavy, heavy, heavy. Now everybody's trending back the other way because they want to shoot at these events at 100 yards or greater. Mm-hmm. So now everybody's trying to go back the other way. So a lot of these arrow manufacturers, Easton came out with a new 5.0. I think a 340 spine's like 7.4, 7.6 grains per inch, which is light. Right. The Victory XVs are 6.4 grains per inch. I mean, that's a really light arrow, but you can have total arrow set up, with 100 grain, 50 grain outsert, 100 grain, field point or broadhead around 360, 380 total grains. I mean, for most guys, if you're shooting 70 pounds, that's going to put you way over 300 feet per second. And if you got a long draw like you boys do, you could be smoking.
Yeah.
But arrows, we got all the arrows. Broadhead wall, we just got all our Rage in the other day. Grim Reaper, Slick Trick, all that stuff. Just got it put out. New cases, SKB cases are in. Just filled up all 3D targets. Glendale bucks, if you're in the market for a new target. Got all those. Thumb buttons. And this is the deal. Let me say this. I know we're trying to wrap this up, but if there's any doubt about your bowstring this year, if last year you said I probably need to get a new string next year,
hadn't done it.
You're already late. So
Yep.
you need to if you've got a bowstring that's fraying, or if you need to have any kind of bow work done, we're busy. Bowstrings right now, we buy from 3 different manufacturers. We buy a lot of gas and threads and ABB. We can get stock strings, factory strings, whatever, but they're fixing to go from right now. They're about 2 weeks out. In 2 more weeks, they're probably going to be 4 weeks out. So that's what you're going to have to wait on a bowstring. So if you're thinking about you need a bowstring, you need to get it to me as quick as possible.
Talking about draw length, just funny story real quick. A lot of people probably look at me and Kyle and think that we don't have the same draw length, because I thought the same thing, because Kyle's 5'9", I'm 6'4". We were going on a fishing trip several years back, and Kyle had you set up his hunting bow for us to bow. He's like, if you can shoot it left-handed, and I'm right-handed, but I am fairly ambidextrous. I was like, yeah, I can shoot it left-handed, I'll be fine. I said, but I ain't going to be able to draw. He's like, oh, yeah, me and you got the same draw length. I was like, there ain't no way. And he stood with his hands down. He's got like orangutan arms.
I'm built like a orangutan.
Which is why he was, in college on a boxing scholarship, because he's got orangutan arms. So we get down there in the marsh from my buddy Lloyd Landry, and he's like, what y'all doing with that bow? I was like, man, we want to shoot a few redfish. He's like, all right. Well, Kyle'd shoot and miss one. All right, you try. I'd shoot and miss one. I'd shoot. Well, about the 7th or 8th one we had done missed, we pull up. He sees another one, and he goes, can we please try to throw a bait at this one and y'all not run it off of one of them arrows? Y'all ain't hit one yet. He said, put that damn bow up and pick up his rod and reel. So we put the bow down and started catching fish. But, well, our buddy Christian Curtis has got ribs and wings on the grill for us. We're going to wrap this up and go eat some good food. We appreciate y'all listening.
Absolutely. Come see us.
See y'all.
Oh, lay out here, shoot. Damn, I brought my bow. I think my strings are probably dry rotted.
I think so. I'm gonna say your boat probably needs looking over.
No, it's fine. Been my shot.
I gave mine a
Get
red
the bow
dust, so
tip.
make sure
She
it don't
ready?
blow up.
About time
Kyle
we
come
get
there
going.
holding his case like he's holding a ticking bomb.
I may have to. Caleb, why don't you have cool knocks that light up?
Yeah, what? Hold on. Rev, I need knocks that's not going to light up when I knock it.
If Kyle's problem is, as soon as he knocks it, lights up.
Here's my hair. Here I am.
Shoot one of them eagles. Now birds.
Pull that 22 Creed out.
That's a pretty good group there you got going, pal.
Where is his group?
The lighted one.
Caleb ain't missed the target yet. I'm fairly impressed.
That's what I've been saying. If
Hey,
they
hear
can
that
get that
cow?
out with
He's
if
got stuck in the ass.
they can get that
Everyone you knock lights up.
I know, it's terrible.
if they can get that elk within 20 yards, he's dead.
Lane, go out there about 50. Let's see what happens. If I catch it, what I get?
What you think, Kyle?
They're pretty good, like riding a bike, you know. My group's good, but my point of impact is a tiny bit low.
My group's pretty good. My
Look.
point impact
Look.
high.
I think that's pretty good. Rev got one here, and then, you know, a flyer.
Let me show you.
I think say Kyle
I got
blowed one through.
without cutting myself in the front.
Yeah. That's a pretty good group right there. Kind of look, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. 3 of them are touching. I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I know a guy at Reed Fletcher.
That's right. I know we got.
Ain't that right?